It's 101.9 The Mix. McCabe and Jenny here inside the Mix New Music Club. Today joined by Marianas Trench. How are you?
We're great. How are you?
Good. Well, thank you for being here, taking some time off tour.
I love the color coordination between the shoes and the jacket.
Thank you very much.
And sort of the watch strap as well. Oh my God, and the wristband.
There's
a reason for all this.
It's all for to raise awareness for breast cancer and raise money as well all month. So
amazing.
The Men of the Mix, we wear pink all month. So every day
that's
I'll be wearing
amazing.
pink. Yeah. So I'll give you guys some pink later.
Definitely.
You guys didn't have any on today. Now, okay, when we first found out that you guys were coming here, we were talking about Marianas Trench, and we're reminded that it is like the deepest part of the ocean.
Yeah, I totally missed that in geography. I was like...
You know what? Before I was in the band, I didn't know that.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
I actually just found that out right now, if you can believe it.
No, so
yeah.
Well, no, so I did just get a couple of questions about Marianas Trench, and just to see if it's between you two. Okay,
Oh, no.
Okay, all right? It's true or false. It's very simple questions.
Wait, that we have to answer?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah, as
no.
well. Okay?
I'm ready for this.
Okay.
I love trivia.
True or false, two humans made it down to Marianas Trench in 1960.
False.
That is true.
What?
Yes.
How
They
are they
didn't come
alive?
back, though.
Yeah.
I don't know if they came back. This is my research. Okay, true or false? False. The first solo dive was done 52 years later by James Cameron, director.
False.
I think that's true.
You're saying
Right.
solo dive.
Yep,
That's the
solo.
question. The term, like the details.
So are
here.
you stating that James Cameron himself?
Yes.
Oh, false.
Avatar.
Not by himself. He couldn't have done it by himself.
I know he orchestrated like an expedition down there, but I'm going to say false.
True. Come on.
He went by himself?
Yes.
Did
He
I
went by
say
himself.
false?
I mean,
Did
he
you
did a
say
lot of
true?
research.
Wait, she's looking on her phone though.
Well, I said true, and then I changed it because I didn't think he would go by himself.
Well, you would have had it
Okay,
right.
true.
Oh, brave man.
Three more.
Oh, no,
God.
well, we're
True
failing.
or false? Marianas Trench is deeper than Mount Everest is tall.
True.
That's true. I know that one.
True. Look at
Yes, that is true.
That's
Okay,
the
all
one I
right.
was hoping you would ask first.
Okay.
Lead with that.
True or false? Some animals, including goldfish, live down there.
False.
Well, some animals do live down there.
Like goldfish, though?
I don't know about
I
goldfish.
don't know about goldfish either. I'm gonna say
Okay, that was a
false.
trick question. Yes, no goldfish, but there are
Okay.
Yeah.
there's like sea crustacean creatures.
Okay.
And last question. The depth of Marianas Trench is about 3 miles, 5, 7, 9, or 11.
Wait, I can do this.
I cannot.
It's about 5 miles.
7.
There's 20.
5, 7. It is 7 miles. About 7 miles.
Yeah. Woo woo.
All right.
Wow.
The test is done.
7 miles. That's like 36,000 feet.
I know. Facts that I didn't even know. And I don't
Because
feel
I thought
like
it was
that, 'cause
just
that's
a
the name
little
of your
bit deeper
band.
than Everest.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was much deeper than Everest.
Right?
Decide.
Which,
There we go. The more you know. Again, thank you guys for taking the time to come here today. I'm glad we got that out of the way.
Thanks for
I'm
embarrassing
glad-
us.
Yeah, I'm glad we got better. Are you impressed, kids?
We've been doing this for over 20 years now. You know?
You'd think we would know some of this
As a
stuff.
band-
We're just going
You
to
know,
reveal these
what-
artists don't know anything.
you picked the name.
As a band, what's the secret sauce to keep it going for 20 years?
Laughing. We laugh at a lot of our misery.
Okay,
Yep.
good.
Yeah, always enjoying the misfortune of the other members of the band.
Thank God it's not me today.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, I mean, Josh and Mike here, I want to know, like, what's been the biggest change for you guys, you know, coming back 23 years later since the band formed and you're touring right now? Like, when you're on tour right now, what are you like, oh my gosh, this is so different?
I can't believe that audiences are continuing to grow. First of all, I can't believe that people have even been around listening to us. We're so grateful for that. And it's amazing to see numbers still growing. I couldn't have called it.
Yeah, here above all places in America, it's like crazy.
Is the fan base different here than in Canada? You say?
Similar, a little bit of a wider demographic. I think in Canada, our initial audience was really based on basically the MTV of Canada. So there's
Yeah.
a lot of specific demographic that latched onto our music. But here, it was a little bit more organic and word of mouth and stuff. So it was a little bit more diverse.
Well, we're glad you're here now, and you just put out your new album, Haven. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did you guys want to do different on this album?
I wanted to really follow like a pretty set narrative structure. It was loosely based around. There's a writer named Joseph Campbell who came up with this sort of format called the hero's journey. That from his book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces, and a lot of. That was a long time ago that he wrote that, but he basically sort of boiled down sort of like adventures and myths and fables, and sort of said basically what he was saying was that if you simplify them enough, they kind of actually all follow the same plot structure. And today that structure is used by Hollywood writers, novelists, playwrights. It's used by a lot of people sort of as like a Bible, of like a backdrop for how to write your story. So I sort of thought it was an interesting idea to try and do an album based around that, because I'd never seen a musical interpretation of that. So it's sort of like each song on the record tries to evoke each of those plot points in that order.
And I saw you guys mentioned more artists are just putting out singles, and you don't believe in that. Albums are dead. Can you elaborate on that?
I don't know, you just get a totally different listening experience with an album. Like, you can go on more of a ride, and not just like we have some of these longer songs that do that on their own, but from start to finish in an album, you really get to get a different experience. With a single, it's hard to really evoke a lot of different emotions. You're kind of like picking one point.
I think the thing for me is that a lot of my favorite songs by other artists aren't necessarily the hits. Like, sometimes there's like, you know, an artist that you like, and hey, track 7 is sitting there and it's not one of the singles, but for whatever reason, like, you love that song. And I think that where I totally understand the paradigm of only doing singles and all that stuff, and it totally makes sense. But for me as an artist, I feel like if all you're doing is like searching for a hit all the time, then you're kind of doing yourself a disservice as well, because there's a lot of forms of expression that you can find when you know something isn't slated to go to the radio. There's a lot of freedom with that, and that's really exciting to explore.
And who doesn't love still going into a record store and going through the albums and then taking that home with you and opening up the sleeve and just reading the lyrics and all that kind of stuff as well? You can't just do that with a single.
I'll admit it. The weekend Haven came out, I even did that. I went to the record store and I was like, where is it? And there were none of them. And I'm like, our record's not here. And she's like, there's one left. It was the last one. And I just like, I had to get it. And I got a picture of my daughter like walking through the mall carrying it. So she's like, got her first album. Did she notice
that you were in the band? Were you like, this is my album?
She does.
Okay, good.
I will say that, like, for me, when I listen to music as a fan, like, I'm not talking about our music now, but just when I listen as a fan, I do think there's an experience to listening to an album on vinyl, because it makes music, for me anyway, the foreground. It's not a background. It's not a background pastime going on, because you sit there, you have to change the record over when it's time, and it does encourage you to read the sleeve and like look at the artwork, and it makes it a little more of an experience. I'm a huge fan of especially listening to vinyls that were made for that medium. So like stuff that's from the time when records were the main way that people consume music. I still very much enjoy that.
Now, you guys both have an impressive resume. And Josh, I see that you play 13 instruments. And you said that most of the time you're playing them live when you work with other artists like Carly Rae Jepsen. Now that I know the song Call Me Maybe and that symphonic sound in the background, was that you're doing? Because I hear
strings?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense, because I hear it a lot in your music. And what was it like working with her on that song?
Oh, Carly's amazing. Carly is one of the most prolific writers I've ever seen. Like, she'll show up to a session and be like, okay, I've got 25 ideas. You know, like, what an amazing gift. What an amazing gift that she has for that. And yeah, I mean, that song really sort of happened organically. It started with like, Carly showed me an idea and we just sort of developed it from there. It was pretty natural, really.
Well,
and we've been friends for a long time.
Have you guys worked since on any other projects?
We did one other song on that album, and we did one song on her previous album to that, and we used to tour together a lot in Canada. Okay. So yeah, we've been friends for quite some time.
And coming back to also your album, with this blueprint that you had for it, could you see this becoming like a play or a movie or something? You know, with this storytelling?
That's a great question. That's a big question, because getting something like that on its feet would be a lot of work. But if you know Steven Spielberg,
okay,
you give him my info, and you tell him
James Cameron, since he went down to Mariana Trench,
sure,
you have that connection.
He could probably pull it off too.
Yeah, talented kid, that James Cameron. He's gonna go places.
But we always like the story behind the song. What can you tell us about "I'm Not Getting Better"?
Yeah, so this song, so on the hero's journey, there's the first plot point is always like the ordinary world, which is like the life before the adventure, and it's almost always that the protagonist doesn't fit in that world. And then the second plot point is always the call to adventure. There's some, they find some item that they tells them to go off on
treasure
and
map
seek.
or
Yeah,
whatever.
sure. And the third plot point is always the refusal of the call to adventure, which I thought was an interesting point. And I never actually really noticed it until I got really into reading this stuff. And then now I see it everywhere. But that's always like maybe the character's like, oh, me, I couldn't possibly, that sort of like non-belief in yourself. Or maybe there's something external that keeps them from being able to set off on their journey. So I sort of had to look at my own life, and I was like, what can I identify with that would evoke feeling like that? And that sort of led me to a much simpler idea, which is sort of like, those things when you tell yourself you're going to, let's say you're going to be healthier, take better care of yourself. That's one that we all do, right? Mm-hmm. So whatever, I'm gonna start eating right. I'm gonna start this diet. I'm gonna quit partying, or whatever that may be for you. And inevitably for me and myself, it's always been like, I'm gonna start doing that healthy activity tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you get to tomorrow, and then you're like, well, who even said I was going to do that? And you always sort of celebrate that you're not doing it. And to me, that was sort of the felt like the refusal of the call and sort of digging into it.
I can totally relate to that. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, we all.
And you've got a big show tonight at the legendary House of Blues. What can fans expect from your performance tonight?
Oh, it's a fun one. It's different than anything we've done before. We sort of made the production a little bit more like a play.
Yeah,
than video and stuff like that. It's a cool set and a little more three-dimensional, I feel.
It's very three-dimensional. One thing that I gotta say that bugs me a little bit is it's really cool from the audience perspective. We have all these like weather effects in the show. So there's like full storms in the show, like snow and all this stuff.
Oh.
And it looks really cool when it's coming down. But the negative part is, as the performer, all this like weird fake snow is coming down in front of your face. And every time you go to take a big breath to sing, it's like...
So
and then,
now on your
yeah, and then
It's
you go to
happened to
sing.
everybody.
You go to sing a big note and it goes. It's awful.
But how cool when it then comes out of your mouth. That's the effect right there.
Yeah.
Now, before you guys take the stage tonight, we do have our box of possibly unfortunate questions. Maybe
More unfortunate
I've been staring
than the
at that
opening
weird
questions?
box.
We'd love for each of you to draw one.
yeah,
Okay.
super simple. There you go.
And if you
Hopefully they're
can't
not as
think-
hard as the earlier questions.
I'm sorry. Yeah, these ones are
I'll
not.
take the one I can't
I
see
don't know.
anything
You
on.
can redraw if you really can't think of the answer.
Okay, you go.
Oh gosh.
What's the worst date you've been on? You know what? There was this one time it's actually like, remember Tyler Connolly's wedding? He's like a singer from Theory of a Dead Man, and he had a wedding, and we all went to it. And I met a girl, and I was like, let's go on a date back in Vancouver. And she's like, okay. So then I was like, let's make this fun. So I made a hat, literally like this, with a whole bunch of date ideas. When we met her, I said, which one do you want to pick in and grab? And she's like, I don't want to do that. It's okay, go again. I don't want to do that. And I was like, another one. I don't want to do that. I'm like, I'm just going to go home.
She skipped all of them.
Yeah,
Dang.
I actually like that idea though. I think I, may
thought
have
it
to
was- I
steal
thought it was
that.
really
That's
fun.
good.
That's a great idea, Mike.
Yeah, that's fun.
Not for
Never
her.
did it again,
Not for
though.
her.
What
Okay,
did I
Josh.
get? What is your guilty pleasure movie? Oh, I don't know. I don't know that I think when I like something, I like it, and I don't feel guilty about it. So I that might be a difficult one for me to answer succinctly.
Yeah, that's just as
Maybe
fine.
like
yeah.
Mike wouldn't assume that you would be into the movie.
Well, when I saw you watching My Little Pony the other day, I thought that was a bit weird.
My Little Pony.
No, he wasn't watching it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have something
You
that I
can
would
do
describe
another
as
one.
a
What's the
guilty
last
pleasure.
movie you watched? How about that?
What is the last movie that I watched? On a day off, I watched Late Night with the Devil, which is an interesting sort of like indie-ish movie that came out like about a
Was it last year?
yeah, like I think it was in theaters quite recently, and it's like this talk show in the 70s where they have someone on as a guest who's possessed, and it just like follows the timeline of that show, and things go from bad to worse to horrible. But I really enjoyed it. I especially enjoyed it because like it seemed like the effects for a change weren't CGI, and it actually looked more like perhaps stop motion or something, which was sort of just interesting to see because you don't see that anymore.
I saw the previews for that one, so I will take your word for it.
It's good.
We'll watch that this weekend.
Yeah, it's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you both for joining us. We're excited for you to take over House of Blues tonight and looking forward to more music.
Thank you so much for having us, you
Josh,
guys.
Mike, Marianas Trench with 101.9 The Mix.